This is Killer Innovations, a show about ideas, creativity, and how you can innovate. Welcome to the Innovator's Garage, where you learn to create your next game-changing killer innovation.
Welcome to this week's Killer Innovations. I want to welcome back to the show. Today we're going to talk about a little bit of a different subject, and it's around the economy. I've taken a deep dive looking at what drives economic growth and what is the role of innovation in driving that economic growth. Now, I'm going to initially talk about the United States. I know 45% of the listeners of this show are not based in the United States, so bear with me. This applies to you also. Now, when you look at entrepreneurship, startup community, 99.7% of all companies in the United States are small businesses. That's right, 99.7% of all firms that have more than one employees and typically less than 500 employees. That's what in the US they constitute as small businesses. 99.7% of all firms in the United States. Those same small businesses generate nearly 35% of all the export value, creating products, technologies, innovations that get exported and consumed by people outside the United States. That same 99.7% of the total firms in the United States hold 48% of all private sector jobs. Now, what do we mean by private sector? When we use the term private sector, what we're saying is all those jobs not related to the government. You don't work for the federal government, you don't work for the state government, you don't work for local municipalities. Private sector jobs. Nearly 50% of all private sector jobs are held by small businesses. Now, that's great. That's a number that hasn't moved around a whole lot over the years. But here's the interesting piece. Today, in the current economy, they account for 60% of all new jobs. They're currently 48% of all the employees today, but they today are generating about 60%, a little bit less, of all new jobs. Now, you think that's a great number. I was excited. When I peeled back the onion and I looked at it, though, that's down. From 2001 to 2007, nearly 70%, 69.8% of all new jobs were created by small businesses. Now, what does that say? It's saying that we're not generating enough new jobs. The economy has become stagnant. We're barely treading water when you look at unemployment rates. Some economies around the world are going backwards. Small businesses have always been that engine for job creation. When it's more than 60%, and it used to be nearly 70% of all new jobs were created by small businesses. Now, this has also had some, I wouldn't say effects, but there's some underlying issues that I've seen as part of this research, and that is real median income, household income in the US. Now, this is the median household income of all households in the United States. What's really shocking is that the real median income for today is the same as it was in 1998. That's right. Real median household income in the US today, when zeroed, balanced to 1990 being the zero mark, we have not sustained any growth accounting for inflation in median income since 1998. We're flat. We've seen some up, we've seen some down, but in all intents and purposes, we are flat. Now, why is that? We're creating new jobs, 60% of all new jobs. We're still growing businesses. The challenge is that the new jobs that we are creating are shifting to lower paying service jobs. Working in restaurants, delivery services, things that are more in the service sector than in the more high-paying value delivery services or value delivery kinds of businesses or jobs. So what is it that we need to do? Think about this. The entrepreneur, the startup community is absolutely critical. We are creating jobs, we're just not creating enough of them. And of the jobs we create, we're not creating the growth in income. The effect of this is that literally the middle class has been treading water the last 20 years. And I've seen this in my extended family. I've got people in my extended family who went to school, graduated, got a job, and because of the fact that there's been no increase in that median income, even accounting for inflation, most of those people have had to pick up second jobs in order just to provide for their families. We're not creating the kinds of jobs that drive growth in median income. We're not creating businesses that create those jobs that drive that kind of median income growth. So how do we do this? What is it we need to do? How do we drive job growth? Well, we start more businesses, obviously. What kind of businesses? What are some of those businesses that are going to drive the significant job growth, job creation that the economy needs? And I know it's rattling around in the back of your head. You're going, Phil, we're talking about jobs. You're talking about the economy. Where does innovation play in this? Innovation plays an absolutely critical role in the kinds of businesses and the kinds of jobs that we need to create. If you look at a lot of the jobs that are created today, a lot of them are copying businesses from others, right? So it's, one more fast food restaurant, one more nail salon, one more, you name it down the street, right? How do we create new kinds of jobs that create things of huge, significant value that people will be willing to pay you a margin premium for? How do we help others create those kinds of businesses and those kinds of jobs that are going to allow for the attraction of that margin premium? Those kinds of businesses, those kinds of jobs is what allows for people to live the dream of being able to provide for their family, pay for their kids' schooling, have a fulfilling life, etc. I've got friends of mine who live, I won't name the country, right? Their kids are in their late 30s still living with them because the country they live in, things have gotten so crazy with tax rates and lack of jobs that their children can't even get a job in order to pay to even get an apartment, much less ever have the dream of getting married, having a house, or having a family. So this is not a U.S. only phenomena. It is a phenomena on a global scale. And I'm struggling with why. Why over the last 20 years has this become such a big issue? Now you may have an idea, right? I can't hear you. You're probably yelling at your iPad going, Phil, I got the idea. If you do, send it to me. I'm looking. What I'm going to share with you today for the rest of the show is just one idea that I have. And I'd love to hear your feedback. As always, you can drop me a note. My direct email doesn't get filtered. It's phil@pillerinnovations.com. You can send me an email there. Or you can put your comments in the bottom of the show notes, or you can be part of the conversation. Just go over to my fan page over on Facebook, and underneath this particular show, which gets posted every week, and we can talk about it over there also. But I'm going to give you, through the rest of this show, my idea around how do we think about differently about startups, entrepreneurship, and what that role of innovation is in creating new kinds of economic growth, new kinds of jobs, new kinds of businesses, and new kinds of opportunities that are exciting and will drive economic change on a global basis. So, I know it's a teaser. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, I'm going to pick up right where we left off, and we're going to talk about my idea for a solution. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
This is Killer Innovations, a show about ideas, creativity, and how you can innovate. Welcome to the Innovator's Garage, where you learn to create your next game-changing killer innovation.
Before we hop back into the show, just need to do a quick shout out to Zoom and thank them for the sponsorship of the show. This segment is sponsored by Zoom. Zoom video collaboration technology is a technology I use every day. I use it with my team scattered around the world, across our offices, and to talk with experts and people in my close network of influencers that I engage with around the world who provide me the advice I need in the business I'm in. Check it out. It is the best way to connect with people both inside your organization, and it's insanely simple for people outside of your organization to click in and join in to a Zoom conference call. So check it out. Zoom has arranged for us to provide free accounts, so you can go to killerinnovations.com/Zoom, get your free account. It allows you to collaborate with up to 50 people, 50. So you can invite your entire organization to be on a single call, and you can collaborate with them. Trust me, it works. You don't want to miss it. Again, check it out over at killerinnovations.com/Zoom. So, if nearly 50% of all existing private sector jobs are from small businesses, however, job creation is down from 68.8% down to 60% for all new jobs today. So we're slowing down. Median income is flat to 1999. 18 years with zero growth in the median income when accounting for inflation. We need to create more new businesses, but not just any businesses. We need to create businesses that create jobs that are higher paying, that are impactful. We need to create innovation-driven startups, or what I'm calling innovation-driven entrepreneurship. Now, what do I mean by innovation-driven entrepreneurship? Now, an entrepreneur is someone who starts a new business to bring that innovation to market. That's what I mean by innovation-driven. It's an entrepreneur who's going to start a new business to bring that innovation that they've developed to market. It's not about, I'm going to be an innovator, I'm going to invent something, and then I'm going to create a patent, and I'm going to license it. Okay, good luck. Very few people ever make any money doing that. When I was at HP, I had literally thousands of inventors who had an idea, had a patent, and thought that we would just pay automatically royalties on those patents. It is 1 in 10,000, 1 in 100,000 that you're ever going to get that return. Good luck, knock yourself out. If you've got an innovation that is valuable, create a business, launch a business. So innovation-driven entrepreneurship, it's an entrepreneur who starts a business to bring an innovation to market. And innovation, remember what our definition of innovation is, which is ideas made real. Not just an idea that you got in your idea notebook, but an idea made real. A new business, start something new, go out there. Find and serve a market with the innovation that you come up with. Don't just write it in a notebook, stick it in the shelf, or pay $35,000 or $40,000 to get the patent issued in hopes that somebody else licenses it. If it's that good of an innovation, build a business. Now, that innovation doesn't have to be tech. It can be tech. Now, a lot of people think that I'm only interested in tech, given that I was I'm the retired CTO from Hewlett Packard. That's not the case. I've seen great innovations that are, everything from a new app on a mobile phone to do crazy stuff, a new kind of service that customers find high value to it. I've seen a really crazy idea most recently about a new kind of bicycle. Doesn't look like a bicycle at all. It's something totally new, but it's really creative, really innovative. Yes, there's a big market for bicycles. This is something that is truly innovative in the bicycle space. It could be a new innovative approach to teaching a subject. How you can teach, or how you can create a business around teaching people things like foreign language or math, right? I'm trying to remember, there was a guest on the show, and why can't I think of his name? The guy out of Park City, Utah, who had put together this really creative approach to teach STEM programs to students. But it wasn't just, I'm going to teach them STEM and therefore anybody could do it. But it was something that's an after-school program for kids and running camps during the summer to teach STEM programs. If you're interested in this, I'll find it and I'll put the links in the show notes. Go over to killerinnovations.com after the show and I'll have a link to this particular business. But that was very creative and it was transformative, and parents paid a premium in order to get their kids into these programs, right? So it doesn't have to be tech. What innovation are you working on that you could go build a business? We can't sit here and just point fingers and say it's the government's problem or it's so-and-so's person's or organization or segment of the population's fault. It's not about blame. It's about us, the innovators community, those of us that are innovators, constantly developing new ideas to solve really hard world problems. That's why we're here. Let's solve this hard problem, which is creating businesses that create jobs that drives economic growth, drives job growth and pays and helps drive growth in that average median income. But what I'm not talking about is I'm not talking about an entrepreneur who's copying from somebody else or who's franchising a business from others. Now, franchises, they're great. They're all part of the economic community, but they're not sufficient. That's like treading water. Now, all of us can't be innovation-driven entrepreneurships or innovation-driven startups, but we need some portion of the population that's driving and bringing innovation that people highly value and will deliver or pay it in the form of a margin premium. And it's my belief that to drive not only job creation, but also to drive the increase in the median income for the owner, it needs to be more. It needs to be an innovation-driven startup, an innovation-driven entrepreneurship that's going to drive this economic growth. And it's not just about what we do, but it's also about mentoring and convincing others that they can do it also. Anybody can do this. It's not a special skill or special ability. I've said this before, you've heard it from me before. It's not a special skill or ability. We need entrepreneurs to take innovations and bring them to market. So we're only partway through the conversation. I've got some more to share with you about how to make this happen, so don't go anywhere. We're going to continue the conversation on innovation-driven entrepreneurship when we get back from this quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Killer Innovations on the BizTalk Radio Network.
This is Killer Innovations, a show about ideas, creativity, and how you can innovate. Welcome to the Innovator's Garage, where you learn to create your next game-changing killer innovation.
Before we hop in, need to give a quick shout out to HP. HP became a sponsor of the Killer Innovation Show. I don't know, 3 months ago, I guess, 3 or 4 months ago. They've been outfitting our studio with some great gear. We have a new HP Z2 workstation. I love it. I've got my EliteBook 360 actually sitting right here in front of me in the studio. I use it every day. It is the device that I carry with me everywhere I travel around the world. HP's been doing some really interesting work around security and privacy. With some of the most recent cyber hacks that have happened out there, how is your information protected? How do you make sure that the information that gets sent to a printer, that's stored on a laptop, that's stored on a desktop, how do you really know it's private and secure? Don't just trust that it just automatically happens. There is a difference between what companies are doing to secure and protect your information. Check out what HP is doing. You can find out by going over to killerinnovations.com/HP or hop on over to hp.com and check out the information that they're putting up there and giving you some guidance and telling you about how they secure and make sure that your information is private. The question that's probably rattling around in your head is, how do you start an innovation-driven startup? How do you become an innovation-driven entrepreneur? Well, break it into 2 parts. Part 1, innovation. You need to find a problem. Now, a lot of great problems come from just what annoyances and frustrations and pain that you have, or your family has, or your friends have, or you observe out there, out and about. Now, 13 years of this show has all been about how to find and create great ideas. So go back, you can listen through all those shows, but here's just a quick flyover. Ask a question, right? What are you going to focus on? Is it a product company that you want to build, a services company you want to build? Could it be software-based? Could it be recreational-based? What is it you want to go do? And make a hypothesis. Come up with an idea. Start someplace. Don't get stuck on a blank piece of paper. Come up with an idea for what you think a solution would be. Ask yourself, what is it? Why would someone want it? And then how would you describe your idea to others? Get it down to like 4 sentences to describe the idea. Next is test your hypothesis. Go talk to people. Now, you're going to go talk to your friends and your family, and guess what? They're going to be really nice to you. Get out and go talk to other people. There was a podcast I did, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years ago around about my experiences in going into New York and sitting in random Starbucks and asking strangers for feedback on an idea. It was actually a prototype on a little tablet device that we were prototyping. It's probably more than that. It's got to be more like 8 years ago. So I did a story on it for the podcast. It's in the archive, but it was doing this random Starbucks. There's also a podcast on what I call the guerrilla testing. How do you guerrilla test an idea, right? But get out there. Then draw a conclusion. Based on the feedback, collect the results, talk to a bunch of people, get the feedback, draw a conclusion based on what you hear, and then repeat it until you refine it. Take that idea, modify, tweak it, take the feedback, go back out, talk to more people, tell them about your idea, get some feedback. Whatever you do, do not ask for a non-disclosure agreement. That will just turn people off, right? Find people, either total strangers or people you try, whatever's going to make you comfortable. But I'll tell you, if you ask me to sign a non-disclosure, I'm not signing it. So get out there, talk to people, repeat it, right? This really breaks it down into 2 steps. Customer or problem discovery and customer validation. Define the problem, describe it, think about it, and then go out and validate it with the customer. That's really part 1 of the innovation. Discover the problem, come up with that idea, and validate it. Now, part 2 is entrepreneurship, right? This is innovation-driven entrepreneur. We've talked about innovation. What about entrepreneurship? This is the E part of FIRE: focus, ideation, ranking, execution. This is the E part. Now, I'll tell you, execution is incredibly hard. Should you have a co-founder? Should you have a partner? If you look at a lot of the great companies, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, Bill Hill at David Packard, the Google boys, even Zuckerberg on Facebook. You go out and you look, right? Edison and Watson. Go through and think about a lot of the really great companies out there. It's hard to be that entrepreneur by yourself. But think about it. Should you have a co-founder partner? You need a vision. You need to have perseverance. It is not going to be smooth sailing. You're not going to come up with this idea. You're not going to pitch it out there, and all of a sudden you got a runaway success and money coming out your ears. Right? You need perseverance. You need to have passion. Customers will detect passion. Your team that you're going to recruit to help you grow this business is going to detect your passion. Passion is a phenomenal attractor. It's a phenomenal validation to everybody you talk to that you're going to be successful. You may not know exactly what the product is or the innovation is. You may not know exactly which customers are going to find this valuable and who you're going to sell it to, but the passion will be contagious. You need a support network. You need to have people around you who are going to be there to support, encourage, give you honest, and I mean honest feedback, not bogus feedback, truly honest feedback. So again, should you have a co-founder? Should you have a partner? Do you have a vision? Something more than just I've got this great innovation, right? That's a one-trick pony. But does this innovation lay a foundation for how you're going to create a company, an organization, a startup that's going to be meaningful? You got to have perseverance. If you're the type of person that runs into the wall, as soon as you get a little bump on your forehead, you're done. That's why, in some cases, having a partner is great. The partner may have the perseverance and may have the passion and may not know when to stop hitting the wall, right? And you may be, again, maybe a little hesitant. Maybe that's a good partnership, right? Perseverance, though, because you're going to have stumbling blocks. You're going to have people criticizing you. You're going to have failures. You're going to deliver something and customers aren't going to like it. They're not going to buy it, or they're not going to buy it at that price, right? So perseverance, and then passion. Passion is contagious. It is the thing that will allow you to recruit team members, recruit a co-founder, recruit potential investors to fund this so that you can build whatever this great innovation that you've come up with. Entrepreneurship, this part really breaks down into two areas. Customer creation. So who are the customers that are really buying this, right? So finding the customer who has this problem that you've solved and that are willing to pay for it. So customer creation. And the second part is company building. So again, part one, innovation, is about discovery of the problem, discovery of the customer, and customer validation of the idea. Part two, entrepreneurship, is about customer creation and company building. It's really that simple. Now I'm joking, right? Because being an entrepreneur is incredibly hard. Look, I did 13 startups before I got my first IPO at Telligent. I did 13. Now, some of those totally bombed and failed and went down in flames. Some of those got acquired. Some of those are still around. One or two are what I would call living zombies. So technically the entity exists, but nothing's happening, right? Now, those things were incredibly frustrating. They were also exciting. I wouldn't trade the experience for anything because that was the best foundation for me. It allowed me to move into taking on roles like being the CTO at Hewlett Packard. Understanding the challenge of coming up with that idea, turning it into a product, building a company, launching that product, that experience. So, again, you want to be in an innovation-driven startup, you need the innovation and you need the entrepreneurship. It's those two elements that need to come together. So we're going to continue on in this conversation in the next segment of the show, so don't go anywhere. We're going to talk specifically about how does this all play together, and actually what we're going to do in a series of upcoming shows to reinforce or at least continue this conversation around innovation-driven entrepreneurship. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this quick break. You're listening to Killer Innovations on the BizTalk Radio Network.
This is Killer Innovations, a show about ideas, creativity, and how you can innovate. Welcome to the Innovator's Garage, where you learn to create your next game-changing killer innovation.
So some of you may think I'm being all doom and gloom, but the fact is that the global economy is in trouble. We're slowing down in startup businesses. Why? Because I believe going out and talking to people, particularly people that are not living in Silicon Valley, not living in New York, not living in LA, there's no confidence. There's no hope. In fact, there was a recent study that just came out this week that 25% of the male population in the United States has totally dropped out of the economy. Don't have a job, and they're not looking for a job. 25% of the male population. Growth in the economy is what we all need. We need to give not only them hope, but also ourselves hope. Now, I've said this before, I've said it many times in previous shows. I truly believe that I can teach anyone to identify ideas that can become killer innovations. Anybody. It's not a special skill, not a special ability. I've not been blessed with some, unique karma. This is something that anybody can do. And this is what's needed to grow jobs and increase the median income. We need more than just entrepreneurs starting new companies. We need innovation-driven entrepreneurship. So, how can I help? How can I help you if you're one of those people that maybe has an idea and wants to be this innovation-driven entrepreneur? Well, one is I'm planning on doing a series of shows, maybe not in sequential order, but this is a real hot button topic for me right now, around this topic of innovation-driven entrepreneurship. If you know of an innovation-driven entrepreneur who's done something interesting, I want to get them on the show. I want them to tell their story, because I think telling those stories helps all of us recognize that if they can do it, you can do it. And two, I want to make myself available to help you take that idea, turn it into an innovation that you can build a business around. Now, how can I do that given all of the literally thousands and thousands and thousands of listeners of the show? Now, I'm already doing this. As I've talked about in the last couple of shows, we've created this thing called the Innovators Community. It's a private Slack area where innovators and entrepreneurs are hanging out. And I'm there every day. In fact, I was on it for a big chunk of today even, responding to some idea brainstormings that were going on in the community. What I can tell you is that all of the members of the community are committed, really committed to be in the community, to participate, to help others, and also look for help for themselves. Now, how can I say that? Because, and this is going to sound silly, because it costs to join the community. I've been part of a lot of free communities, and look, I've set them up. We used to have a free Facebook group. We still do have a Killer Innovations community over on LinkedIn. And what happens with all of those is I can get tens of thousands of people to join, but it's of no value because they're not committed. You get a lot of people to join. You get a lot of people selling stuff, promoting stuff. Look, if you're going to be part of the community, then it's not a free thing. It's pay. And the real purpose of the pay is just to prove that you're committed, right? You're not just going to go in and be a voyeur. You're not going to, it's about truly getting committed. And look, as you know, any profits, it does cost us to run the community, but any profits that I get will be donated to charity. So it's not a moneymaker for me, okay? But I know people are committed because they're signing up. We have people joining the community. And guess what? If you're listening to this in real time right now, if you hop over right now, they're offering 50% off for you to join the community. So here's your chance to get in, find out what it's all about, talk to other innovators that are in there, engage with your idea, get feedback on your idea, give your feedback on other people's ideas, and let's encourage each other. We can make this change happen. So if you're interested, hop on over to theinnovators.community, theinnovators.community, and you can go check it out. Heads up, there's a live event coming up. I'm going to be in New York on September 26th, and I'll be in Washington, D.C. on the 29th. I'm hosting a breakfast on both sides. I should say the Innovators Network is hosting a breakfast. It's very small, very intimate breakfast. New York is almost sold out. DC is ramping up here pretty quickly, will soon be sold out. But if you're interested, hop on over to theinnovators.network/NYC for New York, or theinnovators.network/DC if you want to do Washington, D.C. New York City will be down in Times Square. In Washington, D.C., it will be out near Dulles Airport. So once you sign up, we'll send you all the information. So again, Tuesday, September 26th for breakfast in New York City. Thursday, September 29th in Washington, D.C. This is in person. If you've got an idea, if you want to be an innovation-driven entrepreneur, come to breakfast. Pitch your idea. Let's talk about it. Let's see what you're working on. Okay? I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback on this idea of innovation-driven entrepreneurship. Am I like crazy? Am I like got myself all wound up about something? Or do you agree that we can actually impact this? I think we can. Someone has to just step up, I think, and just do this. We all need to do it. It's not just one person. We need this to be done on a global scale. I'd love to hear your feedback, your thoughts, your ideas. Drop me a note over at phil@killerinnovations.com. And that comes directly to me. It's not filtered. It's not tossed into some folder that I read about every once in a while. That comes in live into my mailbox. I see it and I respond to those. So it's phil@killerinnovations.com. Let's talk about it. I'd love to hear your feedback. You can also put your comments down in the show notes for this show over at Killer Innovations. You can also hop on over to the Killer Innovations page in Facebook and put your comments down below on the Killer Innovations page for this particular show, and we can have that conversation in there. So also hop on over to the community and let's see how we can take this idea and make something of it. In the meantime, don't let the innovation antibodies get you down. If people are telling your idea is crazy, stupid, will never work, that should tell you that you've got a great idea. So what do? Go out and change the world. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week. We'll be right back here next Sunday on Killer Innovations.